Hey everyone, welcome to Pitch Us. We got a great entrepreneur with us today. My name's Tim Cooley. I'm the author of the Pitch Deck book and also the executive director for Park City Angels. Joined with me is Jeff Erickson. Jeff, why don't you do an introduction?
Yeah, Jeff Erickson. I'm currently with a company called Forecaster that helps early stage founders build out their financial models and prepare for fundraising. That way, I'm also an angel investor and a startup advisor.
Awesome. And so one of the things we want to do here with Pitch Us is give you guys kind of a glimpse on the other side of the table as investors. And so our mission here really is to help people get funded and understand how the pitching process can actually change. And so Duncan, why don't you pitch us? Go ahead and share your screen and we'll see what you're up to.
Great. Well, before sharing my screen, I'll just introduce myself, Duncan Burns. I have a company called Veggidome, which really is geared towards healthy food for people who have families and households are on the go. So there will be different types of containers and we're going to redefine the lunchbox on our next set of products. But our flagship product is called the Veggidome. And I'm going to share the screen in a second here to a window there. And the Veggidome is something that I have patented and uses biovalve technology, which is something that I personally developed. I'm a dad who wanted my kids to be able to come home from school and grab healthy snacks off the table. You know, we all know that as you come in the kitchen, especially kids, anything on the table, on the counters, fair game, right? So you want to be able to give them something that's healthy instead of crackers and things like that they eat, and 2 minutes later they're hungry again. So the problem that I solved was actually bigger than just my kids having snacks when they come home from school, because I've been realizing over like the last 10 years or so in developing this product that 40% of our vegetables in the fridge are wasted. We buy them in the store, put them in plastic bags, kind of forget about them. Bag might open up. We throw away $100 a month in the United States with vegetables. That's just a given. That's what we do. But we don't have to do it that way. Right now, I look at it as we're kind of clumsy with the way we're handling vegetables. And I'll tell you how. But also, in the fact that the food is in the refrigerator and it's in the dark, we walk by, as I said earlier, if it's on the counter, we'd be eating it up much more. We are not eating enough vegetables and fruit in this country, and our health is suffering calamitously. That's a word. We are suffering in medical reasons because we just don't eat good food for our body. The solution is getting it out onto the table. And the thing is, vegetables and fruit are live. They're alive. They're biologically drinking water from the air, but we're not letting them because we're putting them in plastic bags or we're keeping them in dry areas. The Veggidome is a thing where it actually sits out on the table, and the water that the vegetables emit are contained by this dome. As you see, there's a lid up there that will keep the moisture in with the vegetables. But also that same lid simultaneously lets a ethylene gas escape through that lid, and it makes it so that they spoiled less quickly. So that's the thing. We have got the Veggidome patented, as I said. We had an Indiegogo campaign that was in 45 days, reaching 47 states in the United States. It was amazing to me because I was running it and I thought, oh, it'll sell in California, it'll sell in New York. No, every single state in the lower 48 was being represented. Why? Because people want an easier way to eat healthy. And you know why? It is because we actually, when we do eat well, we're rewarded and we feel better. Go-to-market strategies. We are going to be, we've approached national retail markets, and we will be able to follow through with that when we scale our production. Partnerships with hotels, cruise ships, health spas. Just imagine, you go to a hotel and you've gone for a couple days, you order something and you leave it in your room, you come back, it's all wilted, it's all food that you just bought and you're throwing it away. No, the way you could have it was have the Veggidome with the logo of the hotel can be engraved in the side of it, and you can have orders up to your room that are vegetables that stay for the entire trip that you're at the hotel. We can also do licensing and online sales. We've got it really covered. Social causes where groups, let's say the American Diabetes Association is doing a fundraiser. We've been in touch with them, and they could do a fundraiser with the Veggidome and make it so that when people buy the Veggidome, the American Diabetes Association would get a cut from that, but also the people that they're selling it to benefit from having something that helps their lifestyle be healthier. And we get a small profit, but we also get our Veggidomes in more kitchens. And that's where we're going to be growing.
Hey, quick question, Duncan.
Yeah, go ahead.
On your slides, are they
Yeah.
moving? Or because I don't see the slides moving. It's been static on the same slide the whole time.
No, I've been jumping to the next slide.
Oh man, okay.
I've gone through like 5 pages. Oh, that's crazy. Let me go back to the share. And we're on the window. And let me see. It's weird. I've been turning pages. You're not on.
I thought I heard you clicking, and
I've been clicking throughout. Are you seeing? You're not seeing other pages, huh? That's weird. I'm gonna. Do you see?
Now it changed.
Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? Oh my goodness, that's wrecked because I was going through these pages. That's the problem. I'll flip through real fast. That's the solution. And have the Veggidome, and you can see it's a very simple device, but it allows the ethylene to escape through the lid, and the moisture stays inside at the same time. So the lid itself is almost like a valve. We call that biovalve technology. It lets the good gas stay in and the bad gas goes out. And that's what I've told them about market opportunity. That's about the Indiegogo. This is the market strategies, which I was describing also, retail, then also B2B, which hotels and cruise ships, and then licensing is also B2B because we can have other companies, let's say Williams-Sonoma or something like that, makes a $200 version, make it more fancy. But we have the utility patent, which just came in last year. This is the slide that I'm now on. And what I'd like to describe is that the Veggidome isn't just an interesting housewares product. It actually is a tool for many of the health oriented businesses, like nutritionists who have clients. They want to make them easier for their clients to eat healthy fresh vegetables and fruit. Boom. You got a Veggidome in the kitchen. It can make it so that they've changed their lifestyle towards seeing more vegetables and eating them. Housewares is what I've mentioned earlier, but the weight loss industry coaches. Can you imagine? That's a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you want your clients to say, eat healthier, then they say, you get one of these Veggidomes, you put it out on the table with vegetables that you're washing and putting out there, and every 2 or 3 days, that thing better be empty. You should be eating them up. Athletic trainers are also a huge industry. And the healthcare industry obviously is huge, but it would be for doctors and healers or health practitioners who are trying to make it so that their patients aren't having to have as much medication and have as much pills that are or different types of nutrients that are being kind of artificially brought in. Boom, you've got the actual source of a lot of these nutritionists and vitamins and minerals, and also the fiber that comes with vegetables. In our senior management team, we've got me, Duncan Burns, Philip, who has been a CFO in many other large and small corporations already. He started us off with the books, which is great. Trevor Anderson is our COO, and he is an amazing guy. He's very solution-based. He's proactive. He's the type of guy you call and you say, listen, I've got this problem. And he's already got 3 things written down that he's been working on as solutions. He's already been on it. Pat Fiore, who's a very experienced marketing and as our CMO, a marketing maven who's really her specialty has been category creators. And we are creating a new category in the kitchen. If you can imagine housewares departments being able to start an entirely new category of out of the refrigerator produce keeper. I'm sure it'll be a shorter name than that, but outside the refrigerator is not where people are keeping food. And I've got the way patented that allows us to keep it outside so you see it and you eat it. So we have a lot of advisors here, but you know what? I could make 4 or 5 pages more. Every time I talk to an influencer or somebody who is a leader in their community about the Veggidome, they go, "Oh my goodness, that's a great idea. I'd like to be involved." So these are people who are published authors, who are doctors, researchers, and John Sally, who's a 4-time NBA champion. He's very much involved and wants to get moving forward with the whole company. Dr. David Katz has 1 million followers on LinkedIn. He himself is a nutritionist. As I was speaking earlier, nutritionists can use it as a change in their methodology. They want you to eat more fresh vegetables and fruit. Bam, you've got this Veggidome sitting out on the counter, and it tells you every time you walk through the kitchen, what should I be eating? Those things in the Veggidome. So the use of funds that we're going to be requesting, and we are in the middle of a seed round, even though we've been selling Veggidomes over the last 4 years. We've sold now 8,000 of them in batches of making 2,000 at a time. We need to make new molds because we need to not sell what I was calling the beta version. We need to make a slight adjustment, same size, same shape, but we can make it 3 pounds lighter. And it'll still be made of glass, but we also have made huge research on BPA-free plastics and going that direction. And as I said, this is not just a one-product company. We have a line of products, but we also have different shapes and sizes for the Veggidome, and we'd be making new molds, scaled inventory. Now look at this one. Most of the pie that you see there is toward actually making real product that's going to be sold. So that is going to be worth, it's not just, we want to have fundraising for funds for this air in the sky type of idea. Boom, that green there represents actual product that we will be able to sell once we've made it. And we do need to have a really good, healthy campaign for going to the market. So that's what the light green is. And the purple, small staff. This is a very efficient company. We don't really need that many people, but as it grows, obviously we will have to have more people to make sure that things are happening perfectly. Financial summary. We are going to be starting off slow in the first year because we're going to be making the molds and making the units. Once we get into year 2, we will be able to start pulling in the 4 years of strategic partnerships that I've been forming, the groups that I've been involved with, including the businesses that we will be doing work with. We've contacted hotels, we've contacted cruise liners, and we will be able to also move forward on our licensing. But as you can see, most of it is going to be the normal kind of retail locations that we'll be able to fulfill now that we're going to have the product made. The funding, we're going to be raising $750,000, and that is in 2 different ways. One is a revenue share option. So it's a short-term ROI in that once we start selling, you start seeing your money coming back if you're part of the revenue share option, or equity through our safe hybrid agreement. It has a 20% discount at conversion and has 12% per annum on a convertible note, showing you that we're putting pressure on us to be able to make the company successful and do it as efficiently as possible. So thank you very much. My name is Duncan Burns, and that's the deck. I'm certainly open to answering any questions from you, Jeff and Tim, anything else that might come to mind.
Okay, great
Awesome,
job,
thanks.
Duncan.
Yeah. So just to real quick, this is for the audience. Sometimes what we do is give feedback to you, and sometimes we do for the audience. And one of those points I will make is sometimes the technology doesn't work. And honestly, with where we are in the world, that's totally fine. It happens all the time. I would say maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe not a huge issue, but today, not an issue. People pretty lenient that way, I would say. Would you agree, Jeff?
Yeah, you see it. I mean, it's how you recover, and at the same time, I think it's important to test things out heading in. So, yep.
That's funny because
you did a great job recovering, by the way.
thank you. But I have done a pitch before with a deck online, and the technology, I guess, was different. It was a Zoom type of thing, and it showed the screen that I was seeing, you would see. So I appreciate that. Cool. But Tim, I thought you were talking about the technology working in the Veggidome itself, and luckily I am able to say that after 15 years of using it, it's not a question as to whether or not it works. It's more of a tool that, how are you using this tool? It's like saying about a hammer, hey, this thing doesn't quite work. It smashes your fingers. Well, don't hold it that way.
Totally. Well, with that being said, why don't we get into, Jeff, what did you like about the presentation?
Yes. Well, first off, I thought the problem you stated, I totally got that. I mean, with my kids, when you put vegetables out on the counter, they actually eat them. I actually eat them if they're hanging out, but I can relate. I love the stats that you had about, what was that, $100 a month on average that
yeah. And actually, that's a little old. It's $115 a month, but I didn't want to. Yeah,
I would actually put that in there and pin that it's $115 and where you got that number. But
good.
I thought that was positive. I got the problem. A couple other things. I actually liked some of your advisors. The fact that you had John Sally, kind of a quasi celebrity endorsement there. Dr. Katz, I thought that was good. The fact that you had sold 8,000 Veggidomes already, I thought that was significant, and I thought that should have been, maybe emphasized a little bit more earlier. So yeah, those were all some good things. I think in general you present very well, very comfortable presenting and come across well. So Tim, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, I agree. I think you have a lot of really good elements here. Your traction is really well suited for where you're at. And I think some of the feedback that we can give can help you really highlight what was missing, even though it was there. Does that make sense?
Well, it's interesting you're saying that, because when I said we've sold 8,000, I was realizing I have to go through my deck myself again. And I don't think I mentioned it specifically in my deck. And I was going, wait, I caught that consciously when I was going through, like, I'm saying it just verbally now. I better go check my deck and find that is important, that we're selling it, and it's online, and it's been really keeping my business in a place where we're not going further into debt. We're paying our bills as we go, and we want to be able to scale production.
Perfect. Yeah. No, yeah. I think that was very clear. And I think if we want to move into some places where we can help, Jeff, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Building on that, where you're talking about, mentioning that you'd sold 8,000 already, you have some traction. You kind of skipped over that when you're talking about the Indiegogo campaign. So the thing that I didn't get out of that was, how many did you sell, and how much did you bring in? You said you were in 47 states. So I'm like, okay, so that means he sold at least 47 of these. How much revenue did you bring in? So I would definitely work on that and incorporate that 8,000, unit in there, and how much you raised in the Indiegogo campaign.
I can see that I could be talking about the Indiegogo, where we did sell 890 of them in that period of time. And then I can say, and beyond that, we've now sold 8,000. So I, on the same page, I can be efficient and knock both of those balls out of the park.
Okay. And what is the retail price? I don't know if I even.
Okay. The retail online is $69, which is.
Okay. Yeah, I think you need to mention that. And again, how much does that equate to in terms of what you raised in Indiegogo? there's probably a discount there associated with it. But anyways, I would definitely tighten that up in
Great.
terms of the traction that you've got, and I'd put some behind that, and I'd put it all together that, okay, we've sold 8,000 total, 890 of these were in a Indiegogo campaign, and we raised this much, and here's the revenue to date that we've generated. So I would definitely tighten that up.
Super.
A couple other things. As you got into the healthy slide, and we missed the first few slides, we kind of skipped through those pretty quick. But I noticed on that healthy and easy, or it's just about to get easy to get healthy, the text on there was really small.
Okay.
But then it was actually big compared to some of the other slides, because the text got smaller and smaller in some slides. So
Okay.
one thing, I think, Tim, you've got some suggestions in your book on that about the size of the text. Maybe do you want to throw that in?
So no smaller than 22.
Okay.
22.5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I think, there's a number of slides that you can, take that into consideration on, including your team slide. You had a lot of text below each team member, and then it got even smaller as you start to bring in all of these advisors, and you just have a little bit of, of room there. Text was way too small. See if you can use logos of, companies that they were at, and then talk to it. In all honesty, I don't think your team slide was that solid.
Okay.
Your team members, there just wasn't a ton of credibility there. Other than, was it Trevor is a great guy, problem solver, Pat's great at marketing. You're looking for that. Where's the industry, veteran, the industry person that's done this, that's had 5 exits or whatever. I want to know the team that I'm putting money into. That's what we're betting on at this stage. I want to see some experience, traction, whatever. I didn't get that from your team slide. I would almost, to supplement that, I would almost pull in some of your advisors and have your team up here. And here's some of our supporting advisors, and here's their expertise where they're helping supplement some of their expertise and some of the traction there.
I think what you're also maybe urging me to do is to actually go back to my team and really interview them and ask about, well, wait a minute, what are the specific, home runs that you've hit or exits that you've done? Because I know that Philip, I could probably just, instead of saying, oh, he's worked in different companies, to literally he's worked on some really big gigs, and I haven't given him. Yeah.
That didn't come across. I mean, if he was at Procter and Gamble, head of these product lines or something, then I want to know about that. It's like, who are we investing in? I want to know. I want the confidence to say, okay, this person has this experience that is relevant. And so if that's there, I would definitely update that in the slides. And again, just do it with logos of companies they've been with and talk to it.
Super.
Had a couple other things, and then Tim, I'll let you jump in. But
Sure.
It was kind of interesting. The use of funds slide came up, and you went through this whole use of funds. And in my mind, I'm going, I have no idea how much we're talking about in any of these sections. And so I was kind of like, okay, are we talking about, are we going to be, doing millions of dollars in each of these sections? Or is it, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands? I had no idea. And so it was almost irrelevant until you told me how much you're raising. I would almost combine those two. I would almost say, we're raising 500. Here's the use of funds.
Right.
Because I had no context.
I think what I can do is not be frightened of repeating that figure. And because I came up with, I showed you what the goal was after the pie. And if I say the $750,000 we're raising is here, and then I can say on the next slide, and the $750,000 is coming in this format. So I can repeat myself, right? Is that possible? Or
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Because I mean, I think you want to end on that slide where here's the terms and all that. So the last thing I'll mention uh, is on that. I had a question on your funding slide. Is there a cap on the convertible note? And I was just interested in the terms there. Uh, there was no cap on it, but there was a big interest rate.
Right.
And
So with a safe agreement, I think that you kind of are deferring naming a specific cap, I think, with a safe agreement.
yeah,
But you know what? I can talk to my capital raise advisor and have that spelled out a little bit better.
okay, yeah, I would look at that. And then the other thing that was a little confusing to me was, it that I could either choose a rev share or I could choose the safe, um, and it's left up to me to say which one I want. And you could have multiple investors saying one thing and someone else come in. Is that
Right.
it just seemed a little bit confusing and convoluted. I would come out and say this is how much we're raising this way or how much we have raised, and this is what we're asking you for.
Okay.
Anyways, Tim, I'll let you kind of jump in here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Jeff. A couple things that I really noticed is um, this is a really good example of not practicing.
Okay.
Like we could tell really in the middle section where you were uncomfortable and you're like reaching for words to say.
Okay.
And like unfortunately it happens, right? Like we get a lot of people who come in and they think angels are just like they'll just get it. And that's not the case. Like we're literally listening to every single word you say because like in this case, I don't know you. I've never heard this company before. And so like when you're reaching for those words, it's like really kind of uncomfortable for us.
Understood.
Um, and so and it just presents as like I don't know what I'm doing, even if that's not true. It's just a lack of preparedness. A couple things, and you mentioned the term athletic trainer in your thing, and you meant physical trainer or personal trainer. Those are completely different industries. I actually was an athletic trainer, and so I was like, no athletic trainer would ever sell this. So going back to practicing, you've got to use the right words and mean what you're saying.
Okay.
And with that also is I call this hope. You're hoping somebody will take this on and sell it. So you gave us a list of all the options, like a spa, a hotel, nutrition people might do it. So like you keep adding might to these things. And I'm not investing in might, I'm investing in action. So I want to know how many personal trainers, if that's the industry you're going after. Like we have a pipeline of 1,000 personal trainers who are waiting to sell this once we can get the price point down, right? Like now I know exactly what you're doing. I know where the money's going. And so like Jeff mentioned about the use of funds, more importantly than the use of funds sometimes is those milestones that you're trying to hit. So
Interesting.
like you kind of mentioned it that you got to get a new version, which is totally fine in raising capital. Dropping 3 pounds, which lowers the shipping, we get all that, and that's cool. But it's like, okay, this is going to get us to 1,000 units, and then we're going to go after a retail or whatever. Like I want to know these major milestones that the funding is going to go to, and think about it like a checklist, right? Like if we were to say, all right, Duncan, you're going to do this, this, and this. In 12 months, we should be able to come back and check off those 10 things or whatever it's going to be. So keep that in mind as you go through. Your funding, Jeff mentioned this a little bit, and I want to add to it. You can break this apart really cleanly. Like I want to know a slide only about pricing and cost of goods sold because we're looking for margins, right? When we're investing, break that out. Your financial slide was actually a pretty good slide, but you've been in business for 4 years. Show me the historicals, especially starting with that Indiegogo campaign, because I want to know, are you going up since you launched? Are you flat? And it's fine if you are. And it's like, we've done everything we can on our own. This is where we're going next. Another thing to add, we talked a little bit about team, is how many of those advisors are investors or planning to be investors. When you're talking about the team, like if Jeff invests in me and he's an advisor, carries a lot more weight than if he's just giving me free advice. Anybody will give you advice. But when he puts that check into you, it changes the status of it. It's more of a traction element and belief in the company than it is like I give advice to lots of people and I'm on nobody's pitch deck. So maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's another big one that I would say. And really the big one for me, honestly, is coming in practiced and ready to go.
Great.
And I think that when you start practicing, and I don't know where you're from, but there's groups like 1 Million Cups. There's a bunch of these things where you can actually go out, get feedback from other people. And it's a really safe place to practice where there's no, I'm going to call it fallout, if you will. Like if you came to our group, Park City Angels, and presented, that's literally a wasted opportunity because you could have the next great thing, right?
Right.
One thing we did not see in here was a competition slide.
Right.
And I think what's interesting about what you're doing is this on-table element, but the argument could be there are tons of Tupperware type products. And again, I don't know what the product actually does,
Right.
but recognizing that that is a competitor, if you will. And so keep that in mind. And I guess this is my real last thing. I really think this product is interesting, right? I think it could have been presented from the very beginning very differently. I would have loved to see these 3 data points, and I wrote them down. It's what was it? 40% of food it goes wasted. Like if it's in the fridge, we don't eat it, and that equates to $100 a month of wasted food. And then it's like, so knowing that the solution is bring it out into the table, and you're like, that creates its own issues. And so like the solution is this thing which allows gas to do what it needs to do. It's like this. And I would have loved to seen a data point on if you were to just put strawberries out, it would go bad in 4 hours.
Right.
And our thing, it can last a week. Like that data point is massive.
It's funny that you
right?
say that because strawberries are really a big deal, and they spoil in the refrigerator and they spoil out of the refrigerator. But the Veggidome, you can keep it in there for 4 or 5 days, and they ripen. They turn
That's
red.
a data point that I would have loved to have heard.
Right. Strawberries. Yeah. I like what you're saying, Tim. Yeah.
I have so much feedback because I think this is a really good example of stuff. Your product, your pitch needs to be more branded as well. This is a branded product, the Veggidome. You guys use a lot of greens. Jeff mentioned this with your font. It did get washed out because it seemed like there was various shades of green in the font.
Okay.
I'm not a branding expert at all, but just be very cautious of those things. White and colors actually work really, really well together. But yeah, I think reorganizing some of the stuff, bringing out those traction elements would be really, really helpful. And then honestly, practice. And I actually think that you could give a really compelling argument for investment.
Beautiful. I appreciate that very much, Tim.
Absolutely. All right. So now down to the real question. Jeff, based off what you heard today, would you take this company into due diligence?
Yeah, probably not. Not yet. So I think you've got a little ways to go. There's some things to clean up. Tim had some great points there. I don't think it would pass the due diligence or the first phase into due diligence at this point. At the same time, I agree with Tim. I think you've got an interesting product. You've got some traction. The fact that you've sold 8,000 of these, and you've done some great things. I think you just need to do a better job at telling the story and getting this down. So probably not yet.
Understood.
Yep. And I totally agree with Jeff on this one. I like the idea. I like the product. There's just a lot of information missing. And we had to get that out of you. And that's not really what I want to do right now. And then another thing, and another feedback element that I want to add to this. A lot of times when people are pitching, they want to keep selling throughout the product. They want to keep selling their product, right? It's so good. And then they tell us a little bit more and it's people like it. And then they tell us a little bit more and it's and it does this thing. You really only need to keep that at the very beginning. Product, problems, solution, and then tell us about the economics of the business. You don't need to rehash the solution throughout. And that's actually one of those reasons why I would not go into due diligence, because it's are you selling me, or is there a real product here? Is there a real business here? And I don't know yet.
Right.
And so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. I appreciate your support.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Duncan, thanks for presenting Veggidome to us. Great idea. I'd love to follow you and see what you're up to in the future. And if anybody's out there looking for help with pitch decks, please reach out to Jeff or myself. And the other thing is, if you need help with financials, it's a really big problem that we're seeing lately is people just kind of breeze through them. Duncan did a really good job, honestly. He could add to it. If you need help, check out Forecaster. That's a really, really great tool. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.